Hi, everybody. This is Megan.
And this is Steven.
And this is the Synchrony Podcast, where we talk about transforming apostolic dating culture and ending loneliness in the church.
That is hotter than I was expecting it to
Yeah,
be.
you put it in a tumbler this time.
Yes.
Steven likes to drink his coffee at what I consider to be a tepid temperature. That
I have a window in which I enjoy it the most. The peak enjoyment of my coffee.
Yeah, it's like the temperature of lukewarm bathwater. In my opinion, although I like
your lukewarm bathwater.
My bathwater should remove the first layer of skin from your body. That's my preference.
Yeah, your lukewarm is my preferred temperature of bathwater.
Right. If I come away and I don't feel like I have been scalded like a dead chicken getting ready to be plucked.
You don't clean with soap. You clean with
temperature.
Sanitizing by hot water.
Yeah, trial by fire. No bacteria shall stand.
Just kidding. She does use soap, but
I do. Thank you.
Just for those who took that seriously.
We're back in our studio after an incredible week or weekend in Texas. If you watched last week's episode, you saw that we had the absolute honor and privilege to attend and be part of Victoria and Jake and Orton's wedding.
Yes. Hey, thank you so much for involving us.
It was the best. It was the best
thing. That was not
a
part of the contract.
It was not. We were so honored and privileged, and I spent the whole weekend just like weeping with joy at random intervals, and Steven spent the whole weekend trying to find me tissues because I was just a mess.
She cried at every corner pretty much.
It was great. It was incredible. Thank you to their families for making us feel so welcome. And
I don't think I was expecting that part.
I wasn't.
And not that I think they were not going to like us. It's just more of the idea of like, I was fully expecting to receive a warm welcome from Victoria and Jakin. Mm-hmm. But the surprise for me was the warmth of the families.
So incredible.
Who saw the impact that Synchrony had on their life.
Yeah. Incredible people just absolutely spoke life over us and were so warm and welcoming. And
we also got a special window because we also were in the bridal party.
Yeah.
So we got to see the whole setup and stuff. So it was really cool. Y'all are awesome. We had a blast.
I do want to just shout out quickly because we made a big deal about Victoria and Jakin last week.
Oh, yeah.
But Stephanie and Eric Tanderup got married on the very same weekend. Yeah. So Stephanie and we wanted to be able to be at both, but we couldn't be in two weddings. One was in Texas and one was in St. Louis.
Literally the night of the rehearsal for Victoria and Jakin's was Stephanie and Eric getting married that night.
Right. So we were watching, just Stephanie and Eric, just in case you listen to this, while you're doing married life, we were watching the live stream of your wedding in the parking lot of the rehearsal dinner for Jake and Victoria's wedding.
And Megan was crying again.
I was crying. It was great. So what an incredible week. It's been amazing to watch these couples step into life together. And I'm feeling tremendously grateful.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But now we're back to talk on the podcast again.
I think our podcast subject is kind of ironic.
Why you say that?
Coming back from not us going to two, but having two clients get married, and then all of a sudden now we're doing a topic of fertility.
There is no pressure on any of our couples to immediately jump into having babies.
I mean, there probably are from your in-laws, but...
Yeah, sure. That's just normal. No, this is an important topic. And so really quick trigger warning. If you are someone who has concerns about fertility, has struggled with fertility, has emotional challenges related to fertility, or has grief around fertility, you shouldn't feel like you have to listen to this podcast. And if it's not going to help you or serve you, we will not be offended if you turn it off right now and go watch the wedding episode instead.
Yeah.
That's okay. We don't want this to put any undue pressure on anyone or make anyone feel, bad about a challenging situation that they might be in. Fertility is a really nuanced and complicated and tender topic.
Yeah.
That we're going to do our best to treat very sort of scientifically and very gently.
Yeah.
as we go through, but I just want to put it out there. I know it's touchy, and I don't want anyone who's listening to this to feel like they, have to participate in something that doesn't serve them.
I do want to encourage the guys to not immediately just turn it off because it's going to be a boring episode.
It's not.
It's not. And I also think we will have some facts in here that will interest the guys.
Yes. Okay. We can save announcements for the end. We do have a few, so stay tuned to the end. We're talking about fertility, and you might be asking, why are we talking about fertility on a dating podcast? Because fertility is usually something that you don't really worry about until after you're married, hopefully.
At least for apostolics.
Yeah. And that's true. The reason why we're talking about it on a dating podcast is because it is one of the most important topics of conversation that I have with our clients. Fertility and beliefs around fertility are driving people's decisions about who to date, who is a viable prospect for them.
Yep. And
I can understand why, right? People who feel like they are called to be parents, especially if they feel like they need to be biological parents, there are logistics to consider with that, right? So we are not here to tell people to stop caring about fertility when it comes to dating and choosing partners. But we are here to give you some facts and some knowledge that hopefully will help you figure out how to nuance that decision.
At least more accurately.
Right. Because there's a lot of myths.
I feel like there's a lot of myths out there and like misnomers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we want to just give some people some cold, hard facts.
Yes. Really quick.
Based on research.
Yes. I'm going to acknowledge something. We used ChatGPT to help us with this research. And I want to just put some framework around that because I know there's a lot of skepticism. I'm going to be dumping some references into our show notes so that you can go take a look at them yourself. We utilize ChatGPT because it has the ability to pull information from a wide variety of sources.
And it lists the sources with the URLs for us to be able to go look at them.
Right.
And verify them.
Why I think that this is an effective tool is because you can tell ChatGPT what to consider. So I just want to put out that of the data that we're going to share, when I wrote the prompts asking for ChatGPT to send us information, I asked it to send information drawn from peer-reviewed studies that were done since 2020. Okay, so in the last 5 years, recent peer-reviewed studies with an N or a number of participants greater than 100.
Yep.
So
more sample size is better.
Right. Larger sample size is a better indicator of trend, right? So peer-reviewed means that these are scientific publications that have had to go through a process of being read by experts in the field and vetted, basically. A peer-reviewed paper has to be approved by several peers of the author, meaning that they are academics of equal standing who are able, or higher standing in some cases, who are able...
generally are non-biased to...
Right. Often these are blind readings.
Blind readings.
Where they don't know the author, who the author is. They're anonymized and they read the papers and basically make a judgment call about if it needs to be changed or expanded or if it's not clear and or if the science isn't viable. Yeah. Right. So these are this data is drawn from peer-reviewed studies done in the last 5 years with large human sample sizes. We're not talking about rat studies.
Nope.
We're talking about human fertility.
What happens if a study is not peer reviewed? Like why is that not as credible of a source?
So you could have a study. So the way that academic publications work is that most of the time, if you're writing a paper, an academic paper that summarizes the findings of some research, you're aiming to get that published in a journal, right? Academic journals are publications that aim for a high standard of accuracy. They position themselves as experts who have to seek out truth in their field, right? So usually there will be a journal. Usually every discipline has a handful of prestigious journals, right? The Journal of American Psychology, the Lancet, which is like a medical publication. Like there's, different disciplines, different areas of study have their select journals, and the more prestigious and long running and well informed the journal, the more stringent and specific their peer review process will be. So if you go do research, even if it's fantastic research, even if it's very well done, and it hasn't gone through a peer review or a committee review in the case of like a thesis or a dissertation that you're publishing as part of getting a degree, which has to get reviewed by a committee of experts that are affiliated with your university, right? If it hasn't gone through peer review and it hasn't gone or committee review, then the idea is that it has been like nobody has checked to make sure that the way you did the study was ethical and viable and that the science was legitimate.
Yeah, and it's basically accountability that your methods were up to par, and also that you were asking the right questions. Because just because you get a result for your study does not mean you thought of every question that would like
Counter argument
be a confounding variable.
Yes. So it's a way for people who have tons of expertise in this field to look at research and go, yes, I believe that the research was done well and accurately, and I believe that the findings of the research stand.
Yep.
And can be considered truth for the purposes of, research is usually not trying to proclaim truth. They're trying to demonstrate trend. They're trying to demonstrate.
They're just generally speaking, just stating their findings.
Right. But there's a difference between a study whose findings have been verified by experts and studies that haven't. And if you go read you can find this in almost any news article or news publication. They'll say like a 2022 study found. And when you go look at the link of the study, it's like, this study was done on 10 college males at Dartmouth.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not enough to decide what the findings are for an entire community of people, right? So you need to go check to make sure that your studies are peer reviewed when you're referencing data.
Yeah. And sorry for asking these questions just to kind of like probe these responses, because I feel like that these are things that you and I think about, but I think it's important for people to understand that when we do research on stuff specifically that is this sensitive, we are trying to pay attention to as many variables as possible.
Yes. So if you use ChatGPT or Grok or another AI platform as a search engine, I think that's great because they're very powerful. When you're looking for information about trends and findings, please use some of these strategies, right? Ask it to find peer-reviewed research within the last handful of years. Try to make it recent research. And then ask it to focus on studies with sample sizes greater than 100. I also asked it to exclude sources from Wikipedia.
Okay, good.
Wikipedia is not bad. It's just that you don't always know if the source has been traced back to a legitimate peer-reviewed source.
Yep.
Okay. All that aside, we're going to talk about fertility. So I think maybe we should frame this around some common misconceptions that we encounter. Okay. The first one is the older the woman, the higher the chance of infertility.
Yep.
Okay. That is not untrue in a very basic sense, right? As women age, it becomes harder for them to conceive children naturally, but it is way, way, way more complicated than that.
Yep.
Why do you feel like, before we get into that, why do you feel like men, because let me put some framework around this. Most of the time that we're talking about fertility with dating, it has to do with age gap. When I'm asking people about age gap. And I think I've said this stat before, women, the most common answer I get when I ask women about age gap in potential partners is they're willing to go to date a guy who's at least 10 years older than they are and maybe one who's 5 years younger, right? For men, it's the inverse. Men will say, I would prefer to date a woman up to 10 years younger than I am or more. Some men will say...
Specifically, I mean, obviously there's more variables, but if they're interested in a family.
Yeah, sometimes they'll go 15, 18 years younger than they are and maybe only 3 to 5 years older.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of this has to do, it's especially prevalent for men who want to have biological children. And a lot of the guys I talk to in this age range are somewhere between 35 and 50, right?
Yeah.
Who still might want to have biological children or additional biological children if they already have some. Why do you think it's so important? Why do you think men feel that it's so important to include fertility in the dating process? Obviously, you can't get in every guy's head, but like, what's your gut say about why men care so much about that?
Well, I mean, specifically about care about fertility. So I mean, even with me, I'm the only male in my family.
In your immediate
In
family?
my immediate family, I have two sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I am the only one with the last name Keith.
Mm-hmm.
That is from my dad.
Yeah. Your dad had no brothers.
He did, but he was not a Keith.
You're right.
And he was also handicapped.
Yeah. Never had children.
Never had children. Yep. And so my dad was the only Keith as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if my memory serves me correct, so is my grandfather.
Mm.
So there's, for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
ever since I was old enough to recognize that, I have felt the want and need to pass on the Keith name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we have royalty blood. It's not like anything other than there's something about continuing our Keith lineage.
Sure.
And this is going to sound grandiose, but our legacy.
Yeah.
Right. And I know our daughters can do the same thing.
Or adopted children can be
Exactly.
Keiths. Yeah.
But there's something that's ingrained in me for some reason that really wanted a boy.
Sure.
And not just because I want to throw a baseball with him or I want to play disc golf with him, but because specifically I want him to pass on the family name.
Sure. And
so I can see that being, for some men, important.
Yeah. A biological anthropologist would argue that that is your DNA crying out to be spread abroad in the land,
Yeah,
right?
I ain't no Genghis Kong, but
no, but
I said Kong.
Genghis Kong, like the dog,
Yeah,
like the dog
the
toy.
dog chew toy.
That's a great dog toy name. So I'm gonna go brand that Genghis Kong. That's what they should have called the really, really tough ones.
The ones that Titan needed.
Yeah, Genghis Khan was the Mongolian conqueror that like a third of the world's population is genetically related to, because my man had some serious. He definitely sowed his wild oats. Yeah, a very large harem.
Yeah, again, there's even a fear in my mind that if what if something happened to Fletcher,
to our son? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, to our son. That thought has gone into my head. I'm like, well, maybe we need another one just to try to go for another boy. You know,
an heir and a spare, as the royals say.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like that's for some reason it's always in the back of my head.
Yeah. So a biological anthropologist would say that males have a drive to pass on their genetic material, right? And you can argue that that's not. Whatever. That's one scientific theory about why there's this particular drive in men. And don't get me wrong, I think women, we have our own drives around seeing our line continue, right? Like that's there. I think for women, the push for fertility often is more around the desire to nurture. I think men experience this too, like a desire to parent, a desire to nurture, a desire to have that very human experience of bringing a child into the world and rearing it and raising it. I mean, that's a huge part of who we are as just humans, right? I think not everyone, but many, many, many people desire that just because it's important to them.
Yeah. I think another thing for me, and I know this can be for some men as well, not just, let me explain. I want to be able to continue the things that my dad wanted to teach me and did with me, and I want to be able to pass that on to my son. And the thing is that got robbed from me.
Sure.
Because my dad got sick when I was 4 and passed away when I was 12. But from the time that I was 4 till I was 12, he got more and more became a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. He was a big outdoorsman, big fisherman. He did dirt bikes. He went lobstering. Anything outdoors. Camping was his world.
Right.
So it's one of those things. It's like I knew that I wanted to have kids to pass, not really pass on, but it was more of experience these things with, because I didn't get to experience that with my dad.
Yeah.
So, and I know that there's people that have perfectly good relationships with their father or not that also want to say, "Hey, I want to have these same experiences." And so
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a passed down experience with our kids.
Sorry, I keep thinking I hear a bug over here, and I'm very like
Now you're
primed.
paranoid.
Yeah, it's rainy season in Florida, and we have palmetto bugs that are approximately the size of rabbits.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, just that will make their
They are
way.
dinosaurs.
And they'll make their way. If you don't know what a palmetto bug is, Google it, and good luck with the nightmares.
Imagine a roach that can fly.
That is this big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they sneak into houses at this time of year because it's wet outside. Anyway, so I do want to call out, though, all of the things that you just described, which I think are beautiful things to want, are things that a parent could do with an adoptive child.
Absolutely.
And I want to say out loud very clearly, adoptive parenting is parenting.
Yeah.
Foster parenting is parenting.
Yeah.
And those children who you choose to bring into your family are legitimately your children.
Yeah.
I think that there is a desire and an attachment sometimes to biological parenting because of the idea of creating a child that is physically a combination of
Sure.
your and your spouse's traits.
Absolutely. I mean, I look at our kids all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it is absolutely miraculous to look at them and think that they are 50% me and 50% you.
Yeah, and sometimes
even in
sometimes
attitude.
75% you. No,
yeah. Excuse you?
just kidding. and there's moments like, that I think are unique to biological parenting of like the pregnancy and all of the stages of pregnancy, delivery. Yeah. My first pregnancy.
We went all around Fort Myers to every single Aldi for pickles.
Okay.
They're pickles.
Aldi, if you go to Aldi, in their deli section in the back, they have these fresh kosher dill pickles in like the tub in the refrigerator section. It's not just like the jar of pickles, the canned pickles on the shelf. It's the fresh kosher dill pickles in the refrigerator section. A fantastic dill pickle.
Absolutely fantastic.
Delightful pickles, but I craved them very badly when I was pregnant with Lily.
And 3 of them were sold out, and we drove to one that was like an hour away.
Yeah, because I was crying in the car because I couldn't have my pickles.
Their pickles.
Yeah. Those things are important, right? Those are memories that we have.
Yeah, pickles and slushies.
The birth of our children, their births are very significant moments in our lives, right?
Yep.
So I don't want to delegitimize that, but I also want to just honor.
I understand the drive for that.
Right. I understand why that would be a desire, and it's a perfectly legitimate thing to want to experience. It's a very human experience, right? So before we go any further, it is okay to want to have biological children. Yeah. It is okay to want to have biological children and not want to adopt. It's okay to want to have both. Any and all desire forms of parenting are fine.
Yeah.
But
well, can I add something onto that?
Sure.
It is also okay to grieve not being able to, or having a really difficult time having your own biological children.
100%. And that's where this comes in, because the trend, as I'm sure you've sort of put together, is that men who want to conceive biological children with their spouse prefer younger women.
Yeah.
On the whole. And they prefer younger women because they believe that marrying someone younger will increase their chances of fathering biological children and those children having healthy childhood, right?
Yeah.
There's also a belief that some of it comes down to as well this sort of time pressure that men feel, where if they marry a woman who is slightly older and closer to the end of her fertility, that will put a tremendous amount of pressure on the relationship.
Yeah, like a time clock.
Right. So I've heard men say, like, I was talking to someone the other day, and he is very young, like 20s, early 20s, right? And we were going through, okay, talk to me about age gap. Like, are you willing to date someone who's older than you are? How much older? And I saw like fear come over his face. It's like a couple years maybe, because we need to date for this long. and we need to be engaged for a while, and then we're going to get married, and then I want at least a year of time before we start trying to have kids. And then what if we can't have kids immediately? What if it takes time? And he had booked like 5 or 6 years onto this process. So he was doing the math of like, if I date a woman who's 27, we're already well into our 30s before we start having kids. And that was terrifying, right?
Sorry, my natural instinct is, oh, honey.
Well, no. And
Sorry.
that's why we're doing this podcast.
No, I know. I say that not in, it's just time in your schedule is not going to go according to plan. That's
Also
what I
that,
mean. That's
yeah.
what I mean by that is like,
Right. The best laid plans.
that's a really nice plan, but
Right. Sure. So my point is though, like that concern about the time clock was adding this massive buffer onto the age of a potential partner that he felt needed to be there in order to make him feel safe. Right. So let's talk about actual statistics.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to get my little summary here so that I can refer back to them. And I'm going to just kind of I'm going to sort of tell you guys what I asked, because I think it'd be useful for you to go do some of this prompting yourself if you're open to using, a large language model like ChatGPT or something like that. So the first thing I asked, and again, we're talking about peer-reviewed data from academic sources published in the last 10 years, citing studies where the number of participants is greater than 100. And I also asked ChatGPT to avoid biases. You have to explicitly tell ChatGPT to do that. Otherwise, it might make you lean in one direction or another for an argument.
Yeah.
So here's what it gave me, or what it gave me about age-related decline in fertility. Okay. So it's framing this around the probability of a live birth. So the probability of carrying a pregnancy to term within 1 year of beginning to try.
Yeah. So you start trying. These are the statistics of 1 year of trying.
Right. Okay. So a woman at age 30 has a 75% chance of conceiving within 1 year, a 91% chance of conceiving within 4 years. So if she tries between the ages of 30 and 34.
How old is the male in this?
This is just for women.
Okay, this is just for women.
Right.
Okay.
By age 35, at age 35, she has a 66% chance of conceiving after trying for a year. Okay. An 84% chance of conceiving after 4 years. Okay. By age 40, she has a 44% chance of conceiving after a year, and then a 64% chance of conceiving after 4 years.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, if a woman who has not had a child tries to get pregnant between age 40 and 44, there's a 6 out of 10 chance that she's going to get pregnant at between age 40 and 44.
Which I think is hilarious because from a lot of the men we've talked to, and just men I know in general,
right,
there is this mindset that if you're, and I think even women too, that if you're over the age of 30 or over the age of 35,
you're done.
Your eggs are turning to dust. Like,
Yes.
like they are crumbling down like an hourglass, and
Right.
that they're just gonna explode. Like,
And really quick, can we just do like a little bit of biology?
yeah.
Okay, guys. So the way that eggs work for women, okay. So
Oh boy.
yeah. So women don't just have a stock. Women do have their reserve of egg potential, right? Whatever they call them, oocytes, I don't remember, available to them at birth. So a woman is born with her entire egg supply, but they are not matured. They are not ready to go, right?
Yeah.
She has basically the ovarian potential to create a mature egg, and there is a limited amount of eggs that she will be able to create in her life, and that exists when a woman is born, when she's an infant girl, right?
Yep.
Technically, when my mother was pregnant with me, the egg that became Lily was already there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild, right?
Yeah.
Trippy. But women, they mature and release their eggs on a schedule, right? On a monthly basis, typically, with some give or take, depending on the woman and how things go. So it's not like women just have a stockpile of ready to go eggs that are slowly shriveling. And
Yeah.
I'm
It's
saying
not
this,
like you bought a carton of eggs, and if you
right?
don't use the carton before,
They go bad.
they all go bad. It's not like it just there's a time clock and then they're all gone.
No, a woman's body has functions that will ripen. They'll use the word ripen, mature, and release that egg for fertilization on a cadence. The eggs don't go bad. The process gets more difficult as women go through cycle after cycle after cycle after cycle of doing that. And when I say more difficult, I just mean that like any other, function in our body, the longer that it happens, the more difficult it is.
Yeah.
I also found interesting research lately. I didn't include it in this, but this was done by an anthropologist that studies hunter-gatherer societies. Women in hunter-gatherer societies tend, well, I imagine they have roughly the same number of potential eggs or what have you that a Western woman would. They go through many fewer cycles, menstrual cycles, because the way that birth order is spaced in hunter-gatherer societies, because of hormones and body fat percentage, they are spacing their pregnancies about every 4 years, and they are continuously breastfeeding for about 3 of those 4 years.
Yeah, because of how long their breastfeeding durations are, their
Exactly.
cycles are inhibited. Yeah.
So anyway, all that to say is that our bodies in the West,
I didn't even think about egg potential for that reason. That's crazy.
I don't know that you necessarily have more or longer egg potential.
Well, not longer egg
because
potential,
they're
but
still
you're
releasing eggs on a monthly basis, even if you're not menstruating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not. I think.
I don't think so.
No, maybe you don't ovulate. It suppresses ovulation.
Yeah,
You're
it
right.
suppresses ovulation.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry for getting all weird and woo woo and like female anatomy ish, but like basically the point is that in the West, women's bodies are going through that intense process, resource intensive process of generating a mature egg for fertilization and going through a menstrual cycle, much more than a woman in a traditional hunter-gatherer society might have, which was how people lived for a very, very, very long time in all parts of the world.
On average, women are starting their cycles much earlier.
Younger. Yes.
So that is a factor.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think, I think the average person thinks that after the age of 30,
yeah,
the likelihood of you being able to get pregnant goes down a lot more drastically than what these stats just said.
100%. And we're talking about general statistics again from peer reviewed studies, but we have anecdotes about this in our personal lives.
That's the thing. Is like these are not there are confounding variables.
Yes.
To the people in your life not being able to get pregnant.
Well, I'm not talking about just that. I'm talking about the fact that how old was your mom when you were born?
She was 38.
Your mom was 38?
My mom was 38. She was 37 when she got pregnant.
My mom was 41 when my brother was born.
Yeah.
And he was conceived. I have no siblings in between me and my brother. So I was born when my mom was 24. And then there was nothing on purpose.
Yeah, for 15 years.
Yeah. But he was conceived at 15 years later when she was 40 without issue, right? And is fantastic and perfectly normal for the most part. He's perfect. I love you, Connor.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know about perfectly normal.
Hey, you want me to tease something that's kind of cool?
Sure.
He might help co-host our podcast soon. He told me he'd be willing to.
Ooh, yeah. I know we talked about it, but I didn't know he agreed to it.
I helped him with some homework.
There you go.
Okay, so the idea, let's just go back to this stat really quickly. The idea that at age 40, for a woman who tries between age 40 and 44, that she's got a 64% chance of naturally conceiving and having a live birth. Not even just conceiving. Yeah. Delivering a live baby.
Yeah, this is delivering a live baby.
Because miscarriage risk does go up with age as well.
Sure.
Right? Miscarriage, most of the time, and there's so many factors that can contribute to this, but most of the time the body will miscarry a baby when it detects a genetic anomaly or an inviability of the fetus, right? So most of the time miscarriages, especially very early in pregnancy, have to do with the body recognizing that, this fetus isn't viable. Yep. It's not going to last, right? And so oftentimes that has a genetic component to it, or it has, it's some factor where the body's like, this isn't going to work, and the body naturally ends the pregnancy. So that we're not talking about miscarriage rate. We're talking about 64% chance of a live baby being born to term after 4 years.
Yep.
Wild. Between the ages of 40 and 44. Now, here's what's fascinating. how do you feel like age affects male fertility? Do you know much about how age affects male fertility?
So I do because we did research into it,
Yeah.
but I do know what men think, and also
Yeah.
what women think.
Yeah. What's the myth?
So I hate to say this, but like we think of the like Hugh Hefners,
Ugh. Yeah.
like of the
Ugh.
ancient men who can have kids until they're dead at 94 years old.
Sure.
Like we have this idea that men are viable forever.
Which is so funny because if you think about like Henry VIII, right?
Yeah.
Who tried to conceive children with 1,001 women, not really, with a series of very unfortunate women,
Yeah.
and only had a few biological children that lived to adulthood, and it had consistent problems with any of his wives getting pregnant, and he was still like, it's their fault,
Oh, sure.
which I find hilariously sad at this point.
Well, also women had no rights.
Yes, yeah, I know. Yes, the patriarchy is the problem, is what I'm saying. Okay. But yeah, so there is this concept that like men just have they don't have a time clock, right? They
Yeah.
don't have a biological clock. They can just conceive indefinitely, and that's not true.
No, it's not. And we'll show you with the stats.
Because the same bodily processes that make it more challenging for women's bodies to produce a viable egg every month make it difficult for men's bodies to produce viable sperm
Yep.
on demand, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the thing is, that sometimes it's viable. Sorry, we're going to really get into the biology, but sometimes the mechanisms of them being able to move to where they need to go, they're like their motility, is severely like lacking. So the swimmers won't swim.
Yeah.
So like they might be viable, but if you don't run the race, you're not going to get the prize.
Right.
Sorry.
So, okay. So total sperm count, which is abbreviated to TSC in the literature, and the volume of semen produced by a man also are going to decline steadily after age 35.
Yep.
Okay. So age 35, you're going to start seeing a downward trend. Now it's not, I would say, as dramatic as it might, like it's not a super dramatic decrease, right? We also see a decrease in motility, like you were talking about. So the ability of the sperm to navigate to the egg declines by,
Some of them, they don't have a GPS.
right. So it declines by about 0.2 to 0.6% per year. Okay.
Okay.
Which from puberty. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
So 0.2 to 0.6% motility decrease per year over 20 years is a good amount of motility loss.
Over 20?
Or however many. It says 20 in here. So
Yeah, I guess if you're having a kid at 32.
Right.
But like,
they did the study of about 1,200 men. Okay. And it shows that so they had a cohort of men ages 29 to 35. That was the youngest cohort. A cohort of men aged 36 to 42, right? And then a cohort of men aged 50 plus. So sperm motility goes from 48% of the sperm having sufficient motility, right? So first of all, the 29 to 35-year-olds have less than half of the sperm that they produce with sufficient motility to fertilize.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise
Which
me.
isn't surprising, but that just goes... Huh?
I'm debating how into this we're getting. So most of them don't survive the journey, is all I'm going to say.
Yes,
So
yeah,
there's a lot of them that are, they take one for the team.
Dead in the water, right? Okay, so 48%. I thought this was going to be heavier, like darker, but we're trying to lighten the mood here.
Yeah.
So in that cohort of men ages 29 to 35, they start out with 48% motility in this younger cohort.
Yeah.
It drops to 40% motility for the 36 to 42.
So you said 44 to 48?
No. So motility drops from 48% of sperm
48.
to 40% in the
Okay.
next cohort, which is age 36 to 42.
Okay.
By the time they get to age 50, it's down to 31%.
Oh, wow. So from...
Less than a third
Okay.
so it goes from about half to about a third of their sperm having sufficient motility for
Yeah.
fertilization between
Yeah.
the ages of 29 to 50. That's a pretty significant
That's massive.
decrease,
Yeah.
right? It's really interesting because we see this trend in both men and women, right? There is a decrease in how these functions work, right, as you get older. And yet, despite that, women in the age of between 40 and 44 still have over a 60% chance of conceiving naturally in that time, which is wild to me, or 40% chance rather. So I just want to call out that like women who are in like where this often comes down, where these conversations become the most difficult is for men who are of an appropriate age to date women in their mid to late 30s. And the concern there, or early 40s, and the concern that they have, even if that is a perfectly reasonable age for them to date and to find a dating partner, and if they would be in the same walk of life, their concern is that there will not be enough time, right? There won't be enough time for us to have children. There won't be enough time for us to get to know each other and then have children. We're going to run out of time for this. If you are talking about dating a 35-year-old woman, you have time. You have a decade, maybe. And I want to call out that doesn't mean that this is true for every single woman, because there are challenges to fertility that have nothing to do with age.
Yeah.
That people encounter. They are age agnostic.
Yep.
But if we're just talking about age alone, age is not enough of an indicator to say that every woman over 35 is not a good candidate for being a mother, right? Which is what I think some men believe. That if they're talking to someone who's over the age of 35, they're shooting their chances of being a parent in the foot. Yeah. That's not how it works.
No. And the thing is like, why are we so passionate about this? Mm-hmm. Is because it's creating a gap.
Right.
So we have women that are 35 to 45 mm-hmm. who are wanting a family just as much as the men who are 35 to 45.
Yeah.
But what's happening is the men generally, not all men do this, but the men that are in that range are typically looking for someone not in that age range. They're looking mm-hmm. for someone younger.
Yeah.
So what happens is the men who should, air quotes, should be looking for women in that area mm-hmm. are creating a deficit where these women are saying like, okay, so now I either have to marry someone significantly younger than me, which let's just, according to this conversation,
right.
a lot of men are not open to that.
Right.
Or they have to marry someone who is way older than them.
Yeah.
I say have to, but that like those are their options. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, well, to me, it doesn't feel realistic.
It doesn't feel realistic. And frankly, I'm going to be totally honest with you. It gets to the point where it feels a little predatory sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I have had men in their early 50s who are open to dating women in their early 20s.
Yes.
And I understand that there is historical precedent for that because of a longstanding belief and pressure that youth was equated to fertility for women, and the tremendous amount of pressure historically placed on women to conceive and bear natural heirs for their husbands. And I don't mean to get all like soapboxy about it, but we're talking about literally marrying a woman marrying a man twice her age.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me that there is not a challenging power dynamic with that. I'm not here to come at you if you're in an age gap relationship.
Yeah, we know that some of them work.
Right. But it is complicated, and it has dynamics of power that I am generally uncomfortable with, and that I think can be very complicating, right?
I'm going to say a hot take.
Oh boy.
We can choose to edit this out later if we think it's too spicy.
Okay.
I think that statistically, I don't know the statistics, I just know it's extremely high, that most men have or are currently struggling with pornography.
I think that's based on...
I know women are too, but I'm not here to talk about the women. I'm here to talk about the men.
I think that's probably true.
And men like to use the excuse, not all men, I understand that there are some who legitimately really want a family, and that is a concern. Mm-hmm. But I do think a lot of them use it as a shield to say, I want to marry someone who I am more physically attracted to, who fits the stereotype of what I'm looking on the internet for.
Good for you, babe. I think you're 100% right. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Well, it drives me nuts because mm-hmm. I know how men think. Mm-hmm. And
what you're saying is that they want to be, it's not about being with someone fertile. They're about wanting to be with someone beautiful, but they're using fertility as an excuse. They're using
fertility as an excuse. Mm-hmm. And they're going for age gaps that don't make sense, probably because they're struggling with pornography.
And because I think it's a status symbol.
Yeah, sure.
I think an older man who can be with a younger woman
Yeah.
is a Hugh Hefner, right?
Yeah.
We've set this up in our culture as if an older man can woo a much younger woman, it connotes a level of power.
Yeah.
Between him and other men. It's a comparison factor.
So if you're a man and you are watching this and you have had the thought, I want to marry someone younger than me, that is outside the air quotes normal range of what a normal relationship would look like, you know, plus or minus 4 to 5 years. Like that to me seems like a normal range.
Yeah.
Challenge your intentions. And also, if you are struggling with pornography, get an accountability partner. Get some sort of software or app that helps you stay accountable. And then come back to this conversation.
See how you feel about it after you've gone and done that work.
Get clean.
Right.
Pray about it, which you should be doing anyways. And truly ask God to purify your intentions, and then say, was that really me asking for that? Or was that the pornography talking? And because
because wanting to marry someone who can give you a child is a legitimate thing to want. Using the excuse of wanting children as a way to end up with someone that you think is just hotter is not okay.
That is not okay.
Yeah. And I don't think that all men are doing that. I don't think
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But I also think pornography is more rampant in the church than we give it credit. I think that is something that is skewing men's perspectives.
Here.
So, sorry, not sorry.
I'm glad it came from you and not me.
It can't come from you.
Yeah.
It can't.
Yeah. I want to put a pin in that because I think that's a whole nother, like we could talk about pornography and its impact on perception, and that's like 3 episodes because I got thoughts and there's data.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to the idea of infertility in general. Okay. Because a lot of the, for men who are seeking out younger partners specifically because they're worried about fertility and viability, right? I need you to understand that there is a chance that you could encounter infertility with a woman of any age. Okay. There are factors that are completely agnostic to age that she might not know about before marriage. You might not know about before marriage, right? For both of you. You could both be healthy and put together and all kinds of things and still struggle. And all of us can probably drum up the image of 1 or 2 couples in our minds that have encountered this. Okay. So here's some stats about this to just kind of help paint it. So there was a really big, well, it's not a huge study, but 765 woman study in China. Okay. They were looking at women ages 20 to 49. So basically the entirety of, well, not the entirety of the fertile window, but I would say then, from 20 to 50.
There's always the Sarahs out there.
Well, and I'm also thinking women are fertile well before the age of 20, usually.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're just going to, yeah. So in that group though, that broad range of 20 to 49, 6.5% were experiencing primary infertility, which means the inability to conceive their first child. Okay. 18 had secondary infertility, meaning that they were struggling to conceive their second child. Okay. And between all of them, about 24.6% had infertility of any type, right? So about a quarter of the women between age 20 and age 50 effectively were struggling with infertility. Globally, big round number, infertility affects about 10% of women. Okay.
So
globally,
1 in 10.
1 in 10. There's a 1 in 10 chance that the woman that you are choosing to be with,
age,
regardless of age, is going to be struggling with infertility to some degree. The most common causes in women in their 20s, because I specifically asked for data about women in their 20s. Most typically, there's many potential causes of infertility for women. The most typical ones in the West are ovulatory disorders, which means that it's a disorder that prevents ovulation from happening at the right frequency or on the correct cadence. PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, is maybe the most commonly known one. It's
Endometriosis.
endometriosis. So PCOS affects quite a few women. Endometriosis affects about 7 to 10% of women overall, and contributes to
That's it?
7 to 10% of women overall, and contributes to infertility in 30 to 50% of those diagnosed. So not every woman who has...
No, I know that 7 to 10% sounds so few compared to the amount of endometriosis I've heard of in my lifetime.
I mean, it's genetic sometimes. So if you have one woman in your family who's experienced
No, I know, but I've heard about it, not just family related, a lot.
And endometriosis is very difficult to diagnose sometimes, right? Unless it is an incredibly severe case where you can really see the effect of it. A woman can have endometriosis and not to a sort of a relatively light degree, and have a lot of symptoms that could just correspond to really difficult periods, or whatever. It might not be as visible. So take this all with a grain of salt.
I know.
Among men between the ages of 15 to 24, so young men,
Okay.
teenagers to early 20s, the CDC reports that 7.8% had some form of infertility or subfertility.
7.8.
7.8 in boys and young men age 15 to 24. And then that rises from between 12 and 14% in the older cohort, so above age 24. So 7.8% are experiencing some form of infertility or subfertility. And then there's a rough estimate that about 10% of men overall also experience infertility in general, similar to women.
Yeah,
right?
so...
Okay, so then I did this interesting thing. I started to ask about chance of infertility for couples with specific age gaps based on the probability of fertility for each gender. So I said, based on all the data that you've sourced above, what are the likelihood in terms of percentage of probability that an American couple with the following age gaps will experience infertility due to the relative likelihood of infertility for each partner? So I'm asking it to do some statistical analysis here, right? And I gave it a couple in which both are in their 20s, both the male and the female are in their 20s, a couple in which both the male and the female are in their 30s, a couple in which the male is in his 30s and the female is in her 20s, a couple in which the male is in his 40s and the female is in her 20s, and a couple in which the male is in his 50s and the female is in her 40s, right? So I was just trying to get sort of a scattershot.
Not a couple, but couples.
I'm asking it for a couple, an American couple.
Oh, based on statistics.
Based on statistics.
Okay.
So I can put the model that it used if we want to up there, but basically, it took the probability of each gender experiencing that infertility at those ages and looked at the combined probability based on the ages of those couples that I suggested, right? If both members of the couple are in their 20s, they have about a 13.5% chance of encountering infertility.
That's pretty high.
All things considered, yeah, right? If both of them are in their 30s, they have about a 20% chance of encountering infertility.
Okay.
If he is in his 40s and she's in her 20s, so this is the scenario of an older man,
the older man,
younger woman. They have an 18.2% chance. Okay. So he's in his 40s, she's in her 20s. They have an 18.2% chance of encountering infertility. I missed this one. If he's in his 30s and she's in her 20s, they have a 15.2% chance. Okay. So so we're seeing the women's age stay the same. She's in her 20s.
Yep.
Her fertility is not changing. He's aging though.
Yeah.
So if he's in his 30s, their probability goes up to 15% of encountering infertility. If he's in his 40s and she stays in her 20s, it's up to 18%. And then if you look at men, if you had a guy in his 50s and a woman in her 40s, they have a 34% chance of encountering infertility.
Yeah.
I just want to call out a 34% chance when he's 50 and she's 40.
He's 50 and she's 40.
34% chance isn't crazy. That's a
66% chance of success.
Right.
Is the way I'm looking at it.
Right. So all that to be said, we see that it's not just dependent on the woman's age.
Yeah.
As he ages, the risk of encountering infertility is going to increase as well. So it's just interesting. Like, couples in their 20s are not immune to infertility. They did kind of a meta-analysis of all this. About 1 in 7 are going to face challenges. So if you are like, I need to marry someone really young because she's going to be fertile, like, you might be part of the challenge there, and 1 in 7 of the combinations of people that you could be with are going to encounter infertility potentially.
Yeah.
So the takeaway here is that age is not, it is a predictor of how your body is going to be like performing in these functions, right? The functional processes of fertility do change with age. But age is not the most significant factor impacting fertility overall.
Yep.
You still have a great chance of conceiving a child naturally with someone in their early 40s, right? There's still a pretty high statistical likelihood that could happen. You don't necessarily have a perfect chance of conceiving naturally with someone in their 20s. And age of men and age of women are both factors in this analysis. So if women want to conceive, they need to be understanding too that as men get older, that also impacts conception potential, right? All that to say, it is extremely unfair for all the pressure to be on women about the overarching fertility and potential for starting a family, because it is not just a woman's problem.
Yeah.
Both men and women are affected by age. Fertility is impacted by a wide variety of factors that you may or may not have the ability to know of before you get married, right? And ultimately, all of these things are in the hands of God.
Yeah.
And we don't always know why some couples struggle and some couples don't. You know, we live in a fallen world where things are complicated and bodies go through a lot. We don't know. We don't have all the answers. But to write off, sometimes I will have men give me a hard cutoff. She cannot be any older than 32. That is as high as I'm willing to go. 32 is it, right? Because after that, it's just dusty eggs and childlessness is the idea.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
All their eggs are floating in the water test.
Right. No one knows what that means.
I guarantee you people know what that means.
Okay, so
not everyone.
if you don't know what that means, if you have an egg, a chicken egg, not a human egg.
Chicken egg specifically.
Yeah, if you have a chicken egg, the kind that you eat, that kind that you do keep in the fridge that go bad over time. If you're not sure if your egg is still good, your chicken egg, once again, chickens, submerge it in a bowl of water, and if it pops up to the top and floats, it is no longer good because the oxygen has gotten through the shell and has filled up that pocket with air. It's getting old. If it bobs up one end of it, you should like eat it now.
Yeah.
Like it's getting there. If it stays on the bottom sideways, you're probably fine. It's a fresh egg.
Yeah.
Does not pertain to female eggs for humans at all. Just so you know, not the same.
It's like the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
Like,
Does it float?
throw the woman in the water. If she floats, she's no good.
Yeah. Yes, the theme of terrible things that men have done to women for generations and generations and generations is coming up here. Yeah, so, and I just want to call this out in case it hasn't been abundantly clear, that the reason why men think that it's a woman's problem, that fertility is mostly on women, is because you've been conditioned to think that from men for literally thousands of years, right? Because no one, even in scripture, no one ever talks about the idea that men are potentially the causes of barrenness. Yeah. Right? When you have a couple who's barren, even in scripture it says God opened her womb, which, by the way, mechanically, that does not necessarily mean that a closed womb was what was preventing conception, right? Yeah. It just means that God allowed her to conceive. It doesn't even mention the idea that it could be the men that are struggling, right? Yeah. But like statistically, scientifically, it is a problem for people of both genders. It is affected by age for people of both genders. And it is not fair that amazing, incredible women who still are completely capable of conceiving and carrying biological children are being left out of the equation because men are too scared of the timeline and that it might somehow limit their chances to be a parent. You know what's limiting the women's chances to be a parent? The fact that men are using their age to exclude them.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
No. Like, you and I are both products of women who statistically, according to men's statistics or just society stereotypes, not just men, stereotypes of society, specifically Western culture, I should say, should not have gotten pregnant.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I have a friend who, she and her husband tried to conceive for years. They have been married since they were young. They've been trying to conceive. I kid you not. I'm trying to think back to, how old am I? I'm 33. I was probably 9 or 10.
Good job, babe. You're getting close to that age.
When they got married. Yeah. So they have been trying to conceive, I kid you not, for probably 20 years.
Yeah.
They just had their first child. They were not expecting this baby.
Oh, right? I bet.
It has been a wonderful, miraculous surprise for their entire family. You do not know. You do not know what is in store. And when you're talking about having children, we're not even getting into all the complexities of carrying children and how complicated that is for couples sometimes. Birth is an absolute miracle. Trying to control that with arbitrary things like age is signing you up for a lifetime of hurt, and it's keeping some people lonely.
Yeah.
Because they're not seeking out partners that are viable for them in the stage of life that they're in. Or because in some cases for women, they are being forcibly excluded from the dating conversation because of their age. Sometimes if a woman prematurely grays, she could be graying, her hair could be graying at the ripe age of 25, like your hair started to do, right? And she's getting cut out of the equation because she looks too old to be fertile. Like, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about.
I know.
Because she chooses not to dye her hair and she lives a holy life, right? Like, I could go on about this for days. We have to start thinking with more nuance about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And frankly, the way that I handle this in matchmaking, just so people know, if a guy tells me, like, this is my age limit, I will tell him I am treating that as a soft limit.
Yeah.
And if I find a woman who is excellent for you, who matches all the things you're looking for, who wants to live the same kind of life that you do, and she is outside of that limit, I'm going to bring her up to you because you deserve the chance of a great life with someone, even slightly outside of what you think is a viable age to get married.
Yeah. And I think they deserve the knowledge of knowing that there might be someone that's outside their normal scope of what they would consider. I think we're getting to the point where we're about to wrap up, but I just want to challenge specifically men to check your motives.
Here's one more note. Gentlemen, if you are really concerned about knowing that the woman you are going to marry is going to be fertile, might I recommend being open to stepfathering?
Yes.
Okay? If you really, really want to make sure that the woman you're with can conceive and carry children, you should consider marrying a mother that has a child. And I know that a lot of men are going to balk at that because they don't want to raise someone else's baby.
Yeah.
And frankly, sir, step up to the plate. Like, you can't hold both of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And step parenting's complicated. I'm not trying to.
No, I know. I'm deciding whether or not I should go down this rabbit hole. But
is it spicy?
No, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like whether or not you chose or there were situations outside your control as to why you are single in your late 30s, 40s, mid 40s, 50s, whatever it may be.
We're talking to guys here?
Yeah, guys. Yeah. Guys and girls, but we just sometimes hear requests of, I want to find someone who has never been married and doesn't have kids. When they're in their late 30s and on. And don't get me wrong, there are people out there.
Sure.
But I want you to know you are extremely increasing your chances of being lonely for a long time.
You're limiting your pool.
You are really limiting your pool.
Yeah.
Because, I'm just going to say it bluntly, you're not willing to take a chance on someone who has had a past. And I say that in air quotes.
And I think when I talk to people about this, a lot of people will say, if, they'll say, I'm open to someone with kids,
Yeah.
but it's not my preference because it comes with a lot of complexity.
Oh, and I understand that it does.
Absolutely
like,
does.
We're not
Loneliness
oversimplifying it.
Loneliness also brings a lot of complexity.
Yeah. We just see so many people. I think it's hard because we see so many people who are desperately lonely. Who sometimes, and I'm just gonna put it out there, that have unrealistic expectations.
Right. Or there are things that they, if they were willing to let go of, would open up opportunity.
That's probably a more polite way of saying it.
Yeah. So we're getting
Sorry, we're getting into the weeds.
It's midnight and we've had a lot of coffee, and we need to be careful about this because, again, this is a very delicate topic, right? I want you to go do your own research. I want you to go look at peer-reviewed studies with sample sizes over 100. Go dig into the details, what you can find. Understand that this is a complicated and nuanced thing. And frankly, no matter who you meet and what their age is, there are going to be factors outside of what you can both know that will impact the shape of your family, right? We can't be in control of all those things no matter how hard we try. So I would recommend allowing age to be a soft range, a soft limit in your search, right? If you're using dating apps and you're seeing age and you're filtering it down to a specific level because that's what you think needs to happen for family health, I encourage you to stretch outside of your comfort zone there, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with matchmaking. Like, don't limit your ability to meet someone who could build a beautiful life with you because of a fear that is unproven.
Yeah.
Right? I just, and if you're worried about the need, if I marry someone who is in their mid-30s, we're going to have to get married and have kids right away. You know what? That could happen no matter what. That could happen by accident.
Oops.
And you know what will happen? You're going to have a really busy first few years of marriage, and the kids will grow up, and then you will grow old with someone who loves you. It's a place where if you can bring flexibility in, it makes a big difference. That's all I will say. I am scared to ask, but anything else about fertility that we should talk about?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Okay. Couple of announcements. Number one, the Cultivate Conference. We are going to be in beautiful Pasadena, Texas.
Woot woot.
Woot. Suburb of Houston.
I'm going to bring my disc this time.
Yes. I didn't let Steven take his discs to the wedding. So he is determined that he's going to take a disc to play disc golf while he is there.
So anyone in Texas, specifically close to Pasadena, reach out and I'll be happy to schedule an outing at a disc golf course with y'all.
Schedule permitting. So we're going to be there. We're going to be there the 12th and the 13th for the Cultivate Conference. That is like a hyphen young adult conference. And we're very excited about that. We'll have info. I don't know that the registration link will be live by the time that this episode goes up, but if it is, we'll have the info in the description, or you'll see it on our socials. So follow us there. Super excited to be there. We're not going to be like, there's going to be a great service, a rally. We're going to be speaking during the day session about great connections, not necessarily just dating connections, just social connections in general. It's going to be awesome. They have a variety of speakers. I think it's going to be really, really fun. So if you're in that part of Texas or the neighboring states and you wanted to drive over, we encourage you to do that. Singles at Sea.
Singles at Sea.
Listen, if you want to spend 3 days in the dead of winter in beautiful tropical sun with great people laughing until your belly hurts, you need to plan to come on this cruise with us.
Yep.
It's going to be so much fun. We have so many fun things planned for it. It's 3 days in the Bahamas. It includes all of your food. You basically just get on the boat and stop worrying for 3 days. Okay. We're going to have a blast. It's a great opportunity to meet people. Please, please, please consider coming. What are you making that face for?
Sorry. I wonder if there's disc golf courses in the Bahamas.
Oh my God, Stephen.
Sorry, I just thought about it.
Okay.
One thing we need to mention is we will also be going to General Conference.
We will be attending a UPCI General Conference, which is happening in October. I I can't remember the
think
dates.
September.
Yeah, sorry. Our calendar is a mess right now, guys. We will be there. We don't have a booth this year, but we will be there. So we would love to see you and meet you and hang out with you. We're tentatively going to try to plan some sort of a dinner, a hangout, something where off-site, where we can sort of get to know people. Yep. But if you're there, keep an eye out for us.
Yeah, if you want a pen, we might have some with us that we can just hand to you.
Subtly, like a drug deal.
Well, no, I'm just saying if you want one of our sync pens, you can just ask us for one.
I don't know if we're allowed to distribute those.
What?
I will have a purse with pens in it.
We will have pens and we will pass them out.
Right. I don't think I have any more announcements besides that. Anything else for you?
I don't think so.
Sorry, I remembered something. Gentlemen, we are in the midst of a trial run of a new process.
Yep.
And I'm keeping it purposely vague because I want motivated men to reach out to me and get details. But we're running a special promotion for our guys who are interested in matchmaking. We're trying to increase the number of men in our pipeline, and we're trying some new things to make that more accessible to guys. So if you are a man and you would like to know more about that promotion, now is a great time to try it out while we're sort of testing the waters. You can send me an email. Synchronyproject the synchronyproject at gmail.com is a great place. Or you can reach out to us on social media on Facebook or Instagram and just say, hey, I'm a man who is interested in matchmaking and I heard about the promotion.
Above a 21 or above.
Yeah. And I'd love to give you more information about that.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's it for me.
All right.
Hey.
Hey.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so glad that your mom had you when she was almost 40.
I was an accident.
You were, but...
Well, she calls me a pleasant surprise.
You were a pleasant surprise. I believe that the Lord was saving you for me.
Yep.
Because I would not have wanted to date you if you were 50.
Sure. I would have wanted to date you. No, but yeah, my mom wanted more kids. My mom and dad wanted more kids, but God closed her womb.
Yeah. I'm glad it worked out the way it worked out.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too. Have a great week, folks.
Bye.
Bye.